had a difficult time and realized this is probably a bigger stripe than I'd like, but I really love this fabric, so I'm glad I got this too as a choice. So I think I'm gonna go with this here. It's a choice of my fabric for my cover, and though it pains me to cut into this pillow cover, I am going to. So generally, I think that if you're new to junk journaling and covering, I'm going to say a few things. If you're a seasoned veteran, this is probably you're probably not actually watching this video. So I'm going to kind of let you know that what I need to do is I need to at least, see this here, I'm going to have to at least probably come down at least an inch, maybe even a little bit, maybe even, yeah, probably about an inch is going to be good, because my signatures, the paper, it's going to be put in right about like this. I'm going to know that I need more on this side here. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of start that out. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it off camera, but I'm going to get it to about, you know, this much more on either side. Okay, I'll try and keep this in. Oops. I think that's probably, yeah, that's not bad. That's better. So this is the top here. I'll get this turned around. A couple of things I just wanted to share with you, which is that there are many ways to do this binding of your journal. This is one of the ones that I really enjoy and I like the fact that the fabric is from a secondhand store. And in case you missed part of the evolution of things with me, in a very quick nutshell, the fabric that I ordered and purchased ended up coming, and it was so thin, and it was expensive too. It was like $12 a yard. I couldn't believe it, actually. I was really disappointed, and now that Joann's closed, I don't have a fabric store that's really close. So I did go to the secondhand store, and I found this, and it was $2. It was a really beautiful throw pillow, and I even had a hard time cutting that up, but I'm choosing to use this fabric here. It's recycled, and so is the book cover. So in total right now I'm into this journal portion $2, which and I'm recycling, so I feel fairly good about that. What I'm actually going to do here is the first part I'm going to do is trim up these pieces here, and I'm going to do that because with the integrity of the book, it's just not that feasible. So I've cut a paper for, fabric for the front, but I've also now cut some fabric for, I do the center first here. And I'm going to lay some fabric in there. I think I could cut a little bit off of this. And I'm going to mention to you, only because my daughter didn't know, and if you're someone who sews a lot, then you know, but I really keep my fabric scissors separate from my paper scissors because the paper dulls the fabric, or excuse me, dulls the fabric scissors. Okay, so I'm using Fabri-Tac, and I'm just going to really liberally make sure that I've got it kind of spread into all of the crevices. I'm going to put it, make sure it's under there. Looks like I need some more glue. I kind of have to work fairly fast here. You want to use something like your bone folder to really make sure I pay attention to this just a little bit more up at the top. I might have cut this. There we go. Just gonna trim this. So I don't know what the most intimidating part of working with doing junk journaling, or working with a book or an altered book or journaling at all. I'm not sure what that is for you. I think that everybody's probably got something that is challenging for them or something that intimidates them about this process. And I'm going to just really encourage you to think about ways that you can tackle or do that first. I think that's probably better. This here is probably for me the most intimidating part. And I think that's because it's a precise action, it's a precise thing, but with lots of practice you can get good at it and even comfortable with it. And you know, it's the part that once I get this piece done, I feel the most accomplished and just so motivated to finish my journal. So I've got enough room on either side. I'm hoping I have enough glue. I'm a little bit worried about that. So what I'm going to do now is cover this. I've spent a little bit of time to really wash up this cover of this book. I cleaned it with some rubbing alcohol after, and let it dry. I let it dry for a day, but I really wanted to clean it, just make sure that there wasn't anything that would get in the process of gluing. Some people put, if they're going to use a ribbon or something, some people like to put that underneath here before they put the cover, the fabric cover. I don't, because I actually prefer to have a really flat looking cover. So, and you'll want something, either a brush or something to spread out your glue so that your glue is really even. And you can see I'm actually using quite a bit of glue. Okay. Get that where I know that I'm going to want it, and then I'm just going to flip it over. And go for it. Okay. Make sure that you take the time to really kind of push into all of the edges on the outside. Maybe anywhere you might have some glue buildup. Now on the corners, a good way for me to know how much to cut here is I use, you can see that here. I'll either use my bone folder, which is a good measurement, or the width of my ruler. You can kind of check and see if there's anything that I might want to just trim off here. And I'm going to just trim that a little bit. Like I said, this process here might be a little bit slow for those of you that are seasoned, and it may not be. I'm going slow on purpose. Usually I don't show this whole process. Basically, we just repeat the same process here with the glue. So I'm actually going to start with the corners here. So this cut I've made doesn't go all the way to the edge, but it goes a good part of the way. Probably something I could do ahead of time, but I get nervous that I'm going to get it in the wrong spot. It's basically just cutting some of the corner out for a little bit more out. In a square for bulk purposes. On the corners, I'm going to tuck in, so if I can show you. And hide the edge. See if you can see that. And at this point, I think that what I'm going to do is just turn the camera off and let it dry for a bit. And we'll come back. Actually, maybe we won't do that. I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. We'll see how far I get on the other processes here. But you can see I'm wanting to make sure that as I fold things, I've got everything tucked in and pressed flat. Okay, let's work on our signatures while that's drying. So basically I have my signatures the way I want. I've spent my time making sure that the pages are in the order that I like and upright. And then I've also placed my signatures in the order that I want them. And I've also gone ahead and done a little bit of trimming this way. I like to trim my edges. That's an optional thing to do. And the first thing you're going to do is we're going to glue our signatures together. So I hope I have enough glue for this process. This usually takes me about 1/4 of my bottle to do this binding process. So I am not applying my glue all the way to the edge. I'm giving it about 3/4 of an inch. Yeah, I'm giving it about 3/4 of an inch. Okay. That one. Note I haven't done anything with the center part here yet, because what I really want to do is just kind of paying attention here to this whole way it goes together. So part of the reason I didn't bind the signature together before I adhered the pages that were going together is because I really wanted to make sure that these match, and I have a more challenging time doing that when I've done that first. But please do it in the order that you feel the most comfortable, and this is just the binding method that I'm using. So let's see. So now all I'm going to do is basically, I'm going to wrap my thread right around the center. Like 4 times. You can sew, you can do a 3-hole punch sew if you like. My fingers are, I don't work the way I'd like them to all the time, and I end up getting quite frustrated. So I don't always do that. But you'll see that what I've done here on the first signature is basically I've got, and you'll also see less if you do a 3-hole punch. Okay. I'm doing the same thing. I don't necessarily think I need to show you on camera, but I'm going to do the same thing for each signature. Basically, go through and wrap it and then tie it here. My goal partly here is that I want a book that will lay as flat as possible. It makes it easiest for me to work with. So there's one. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. One, 2, 3. That's 4. And I'll adjust where the strings lie later. Same thing on this one. I'm gonna do this one off camera. You don't need to see this one again here, but okay. So now I've got all three of them bound in place that way. I'm gonna pay a little bit of attention here. So I've got these extra strings, right? And what to do with those and how to make sure that this doesn't come apart. How to so one thing I'm going to do here before I glue this in is I'm going to kind of trim my string on one side. Use a little bit of my favorite tape. And I'm just going to tape this down. Also, so notice that what we're paying attention to is that I've left a little bit of room between the bindings, and the reason I've done that is because what's going to happen is we'll be able to make sure that the book lays flat, and that's important to me. I think I mentioned that before in the working process, so I think I could have gotten this a little bit tighter, but this is part that we're not going to see. So the reason I'm using my craft tape is because I could use glue, but oftentimes it ends up moving. This is the middle. And you can just choose a side to put that on. All that needs to happen next is, oops, I need to glue this into the spine we prepared. So I've got that here. And the way that we're going to do that, put glue on this page here. See if I make it. Again, I'm not going all the way to the edge, kind of leaving my fingers there as a reminder. I'm getting a little bit closer than I did on the center pieces. But basically what I'm going to do is note that where this is, I'm kind of aiming just a little bit above, not above, excuse me, just a little bit past into that. Make sure you're straight before you really secure it down. Basically, you're going to do the same thing on this side. Okay. And I put the pages, not necessarily the pages that I liked the least, but the pages that I felt. I think this color is almost too bright for the colors that I was going for with this journal, even though it was pages I made for the journal. But the overall tone and the feel, I ended up choosing this one because of that reason. So let's see here. Okay, so what you can see is what I've got is a fairly open, I don't know what they call that. I think it's the terminology, open spine. Okay, I'm wanting you to see that I want my pages to be able to lay flat, and I'm not sure I accomplished that completely. But I'm going with it here. I'm going to add some glue where my maybe not. Okay. The other thing that I like about this binding method, you may not, you can see I probably could have gotten a couple more signatures in here, but what's going to happen over time is that my book is really going to expand with the things that I put inside, but you can see that they've got some here and here. So basically she's bound, and the goal now is just to fill her up. So thank you for joining me. That was part 2 of the French Blue Paris journal. Hope to see you in the next video.